All right, it's time to talk horse racing on Prime Sports Network for a Wednesday evening. That's right. We are broadcasting pretty early in the week. That's because we have the sheets for the big races coming up on Friday and Saturday at Pimlico. And even though we don't have the best picture and quality, of course, Chad's on the road, as you can see. Chad is driving. Are you actually driving, or are you? Because it doesn't look like your hands are on the wheel, Chad.
No, I would never drive and talk at the same time. So no.
Are you being taxied? Chauffeured.
He's being chauffeured.
So Chad is being chauffeured to Pimlico?
Yeah. Get out of the way. Get out of the way.
And Jon, we can see you on the screen when you talk. So how's it going, Jon?
Good, all good. So.
And when does Saratoga start?
A few weeks.
A few more weeks? Okay.
No, maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks, 7. Chad, when does it start? July 7th or something?
July 7th. Is it safe to say, Jon, that you will no longer be making any appearances in Kentucky anytime soon?
I've taken that state off my map. But not only that, when I'm in a plane, I ask them to avoid Kentucky, fly around it, do whatever you have to do.
Look forward to the Breeders' Cup preview show at Keeneland. Should be fun.
All right, so we are going to preview big races coming up this weekend. Both races 13, lucky 13. That includes the Black-Eyed Susan, which is going to be on Friday, and the Preakness on Saturday. Which race you want to start with, boys?
Well, Friday comes before Saturday, so I would assume Friday's race.
Yeah, we have a couple of days, so we might as well not rush it like the Kentucky Derby. That was a completely different type of show with 20 horses, and here we're only going to have, 9 is going to be in the Preakness? So we'll get into that next. But first of all, the Black-Eyed Susan. Now, is the Black-Eyed Susan basically like the Preakness of the fillies?
It's like the Oaks, isn't it, Chad? It's the second leg.
Yes, and it would be considered the Preakness of the fillies.
Correct.
Even though we don't really see any horses. How many horses? I don't see any that raced in the Oaks. Oh, wait. Favor? No, that was different Oaks.
No. There's not the same kind of
hype,
bluster of the quote-unquote hype of the Philly Triple Crown. In fact, and Jonathan will know this well, the Philly Triple Crown actually, what it used to be considered were the 3 races in New York. It was the Acorn, the Mother Goose, and the Coaching Club of America.
Right.
And those were considered kind of the quote-unquote Philly Triple Crown. They were spaced a lot further apart. It's very uncommon for fillies to come back in 2 weeks, although we will see it in the Preakness here with Secret Oath. But that's why you don't see any of those horses back in 2 weeks from the Oaks into the Black-Eyed Susan.
Okay. All right.
Chad, on Belmont Day, Chad, do they have a Friday filly race?
They have the Acorn on Saturday.
Oh, that's the Friday.
Which is going a mile. It's going a mile, but it's on the Saturday.
Oh, it's it
looks like. Yeah, it looks like we'll see Echo Zulu there on that day, which should be a very, very exciting time.
Okay.
All right, let's get to it, starting with the Black-Eyed Susan. And again, this is a purse of $250 for fillies, 3-year-olds. This should go off about 544 on Friday. And the 1 is Divine Huntress, a 15-to-1 shot, Jon. The sheets, actually, the first 2 horses here, both horses look kind of slow. They both have like 15s and 16s. The 2 is Missy Greer at 20-to-1. So I don't know if you really think that either the 1 or the 2, Jon, have any chance at all.
Well, probably not. There are certain in the race. The 2 tried dirt for the first time 2 races back. By the way, all these horses are coming off of Lasix again, so keep that in mind. And she ran on the dirt 2 races, both of them with Lasix. Now comes off of Lasix, but she looks slow. There are faster horses.
You didn't hear anything good about either of those horses, do you, Chad? Divine Huntress or Missy Greer?
Well, ironically enough, even though Jonathan says Divine Huntress is too slow on sheet, she was actually purchased from her maiden breaking score with a good number on the sheets. So good to know that they feel like the number's too slow. Look, this is a filly that the Graham Ocean barn has been high on for a long time. They thought that some things went wrong when they ran her two back. They didn't really like how she was kind of positioned in the race. Actually, despite finishing fifth in the Gazelle last time, they thought she ran better. She's training really well. I like the fact that the barn has reached out to Flavian Pratt, and as long as your name's not the Sleepy Chick at the country. So, I mean, there are things to like about Divine Huntress other than the sloppy paper from the last couple of races. If she can ever get back to that form we saw early on in her career, where she was originally trained at Pimlico, so she's one of the only horses with experience training over that track, I think there's a chance that she can actually be one of those ones that you use on the bottom of a ticket, running second or third at a big price. And Graham Ocean's coming off a Grade 1 win, and Flavian Pratt is coming off another wonderful weekend, his first kind of official weekend at Belmont Park. Just an unbelievable performance from him all weekend
long. All right,
long.
so out of those two, Chad says to keep an eye on Divine Huntress with Flavian Pratt on board at 15-1. Let's go with the 3, Miss Yearwood. And John, the reason I didn't say 1, 2, and 3 is because I kind of think, well, actually, I wanted to go with 3 and 4 as well, because these two long shots I have a little bit better of a feeling about. Miss Yearwood's a 20-1 shot, and Midnight Stroll is a 15-1 shot. And when you look at the sheets, Miss Yearwood went from 23, 21, 13, then broke her maiden with a 13. So back-to-back 13s. Midnight Stroll looks better because Midnight Stroll in all 4 of her races, John, has gotten better each race, even if you want to count the race on turf, 28, 19, 13, and 10. So the 4 is a long shot that I want to put in my exotics, and why not, considering she's coming off a 10 in her last start, and she's won her last 2.
Well, I'm putting the 3 in my exotics, Miss Yearwood, because I like the pair up of the 13 minuses. Not only that, her last race was 1.25 miles, so now she's cutting back, so she's going to have bottom. Where your horse ran a 10 top, but that top was sprinting, and that was at Tampa Bay Downs. You know, both of her last 2 races were both good, but they were both at Tampa. A lot of times horses that run well at Tampa only run well at Tampa, you know, and don't run well elsewhere. And I like Miss Yearwood to get in a number at a big price. She's getting good at the right time.
What about those 2 long shots, Chad? Miss Yearwood and Midnight Stroll.
Well, it's kind of the opposite of what you see from Divine Huntress. Divine Huntress has been getting beat by better horses, and these 2 lightly raced horses haven't really faced much. I mean, Miss Yearwood's coming off of a maiden breaking score, and while it was ultra impressive at the end of April on opening night at Churchill Downs, it was just kind of a maiden race, and so she's going to really have to step up her game and get a real class test here against some really nice fillies. And the other horse, Midnight Stroll, look, this was a horse that was very, very well thought of early on in the barn. It was a $225,000 yearling purchase and was actually well bet first time out at Saratoga. But like John said, didn't run much in the 2 New York races, went down to Tampa and kind of reversed form. I think she's going to have to continue to improve, even though she is coming off a stake score. That was a Florida-bred restricted stake race that she won. Not a lot of champions in that race, and she's going to have to, again, take another step forward here today.
Okay, let's go to the 5, a 12-1 shot. And this horse with Jose Ortiz on board. 3 straight 13s, John. Second and first, last 2. What do you think about 3 straight 13s, though? Again, we're talking about a long shot at 12-1.
She's okay. I mean, she's never done anything wrong. She has 4 lifetime starts, and she's run 3 13s in her last 3 races, 2 of them going long. Last time was without LASIK, so that's a plus. You know, she has a chance. She has a chance that the 1, 2, 3, and 4 have. She's 12-1.
Chad, was it Begine?
Yeah, Begin. She was the one horse entered in the Kentucky Oaks that didn't get in. She was on the also eligible list, didn't have enough points to get in.
Okay.
We actually got to watch her train all week long during that Derby Oaks window as she was trying to be the Rich Strike of the Kentucky Oaks. Maybe this is her chance to be the next Rich Strike. And she trained very, very well over there. And I like the fact that Jose Ortiz is able to pick up the mount because he's about as good a big game rider as there is in the country. So I can definitely see this horse making a big move. And I think 12-1 is actually an overlay on this horse. I think she should be much, much shorter than that. And I think she will take some action on the day.
All right. Next up.
By the way, Chad, you say 10 strike. She's not going to be 80-1. 10 strike was 80.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still think 80-1 is. I still think 80-1 was light.
It was light. It should have been 800-1. That horse.
Let's move on now as we start to get to some. We have a couple of the top contenders coming up here. By the way, this is a deep field of 13, so we still have a ways to go. The 6 is one of the top contenders, Luna Bell, John, and this is going to be my top choice overall. The horse has won 5 straight, 9 to start the year. Then not the direction you want to see her go, 13, 15, but came back with a 10 last time out, so I like that a lot. So, and getting close to 5-1. So what about Luna Bell?
Yeah, this was also my top selection, but for a different reason. The Oaks and a lot of races at Pimlico, a lot of times are won by the hometown horse. Well, while this horse doesn't have a race over Pimlico, she's raced at Laurel, so I'm sure she's worked over this track. I don't see it, but I'm sure, she's stable there. So obviously she had a run there. So I'm considering this the hometown horse. And again, if she repeats her last race, and she has enough time from it, she could run that 10. And I ended up having this horse as my top pick.
Chad?
Look, she's a nice filly. There was a while early on in her career she was and is brilliantly fast at a shorter distance, right? So
right.
I remember talking to Jonathan about her in the spring. The horse that we have together was nominated for a race at Laurel, and we said, the numbers are all slow except for this Bella Luna, but maybe she's only a sprinter. But I'll tell you what, she's done everything the right way. She's stretched out well, and while the local competition in Maryland hasn't really been the best competition, she knows how to win, and I love horses that know how to win. So she would definitely be one with a big chance.
All right, next up we have another top contender. Distinctly possible, John, at 6-1. You get the Brown or Arad Ortiz combo coming off a win, but nothing special really when you look at the sheets. You like 16-13 last year, but even though the horse won this year, it was only a 15.
Yeah, but she did have some trouble in that race. But I agree with you. She doesn't offer much value. Let's put it that way. 13 minus as a 2-year-old back in October is a terrific number. But as a 3-year-old, she should have run better than the 15, especially when getting Lasix for the first time. I understand she won and everything else that goes with it. But numbers-wise, there's no value in using this horse at 5 or 6-1.
Okay, now this is the part of the program, unfortunately, where we have to stop because we had some technical difficulties broadcasting yesterday. I think I said that several times. But hey, it's a bonus show, so I guess you can let us off the hook with that. But anyway, we had some technical difficulties when we were breaking down horses 8 and 9 in the Black Eyed Susan. So let's go ahead and take care of that now, John. The 8, we really don't have much to talk about. Candy Light is slow.
No, yes, she really has no chance. The only thing I could tell you is that she is from Laurel, so she's kind of a hometown horse, and Graham Motion is a Laurel trainer besides everywhere else he trains. But for many years, he's had a lot of success there, and that's the only possible case. But off the numbers, she's obviously way too slow.
Okay, now the 9 is a horse that we all like, Interstate Daydream, a 6-1 shot with Brad Cox, and that's because she ran an 11 in March and won that race, and so we expected a bounce, and we got the bounce. The 16 in the race in Keeneland, finishing 3rd in the Ashland, the Grade 1 race. So what I think is that we're going to get the horse to go back forward after the bounce, and at 6-1 with Brad Cox, I think this is a horse to put in your exotics.
Well, she's kind of on the bubble to me. Obviously, I have the utmost respect for Brad Cox. The problem I have with this horse is the 11 that she ran was her one and only race on Lasix. So it could have been a Lasix pop, and then the last race, even though she was bouncing, she also was coming off of Lasix. And obviously, she won't be on Lasix tomorrow either. So her best race of her life was on Lasix. And now she's not going to be on Lasix, and she wasn't on Lasix for the last race either. It really would depend on the price for me. If she's 4 or 5 to 1, I don't need her. She would have to be longer than that to keep.
All right. So that's the part of the show that we missed. We're going to slide this in, and we are going to now go right back to the show from yesterday that we recorded with Jon Hardoon and with Chad Summers. So unfortunately, we missed Chad's analysis, but Chad did like the horse and did have the horse in his overall plays, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show. So back to the show. The trainer changed from Yaktine to McCarthy, so that has to be the biggest issue and concern with the 10, isn't it?
No, I don't know why. Now she's back with Jimmy Barnes. I would consider it a positive move. Jimmy Barnes is Baffert's assistant, number 1 assistant. He went with Sean McCarthy. He's handling all the horses in the McCarthy barn. He didn't handle the Yaktine horses.
Okay.
Now the horse is back with, in his surroundings. Like Chad said, he's back at his home stall and everything else. So I guess you could excuse the bad race. Remember, though, that was only a 5-horse field, and she couldn't win in a 5-horse field, so that's somewhat of a concern to me.
The Santa Anita Oaks?
Yeah, and she's going to be the big favorite. I don't think she offers any value. But, she is the horse to beat, no question about it.
So what about John, because I know that you had a question for Chad regarding the Yaktine barn and so set that up again.
To know why did they go from Baffert to Yaktine and then took the horses away from Yaktine was my question to Chad. If he knew why, I just find it strange. That's all.
I think,
by the way, this isn't the only one. This happened to about 4 horses. I think Tabor went back to McCarthy. I think a few of them did.
I think that the thing is, in this situation, it's a very fluid situation. Tim Yaktine was heading to the Kentucky Derby with Tabor Messier. They gave this filly a chance to make the Oaks. Nice pink pants. They gave this filly a chance to make the Kentucky Oaks. She didn't bounce out of the Santa Anita Oaks like they would have liked. And so they just sent her home, and her stall, her barn, the horses for Sean McCarthy, they didn't have to move barns. They're still in Bob Baffert's barn, the first barn when you walk into Santa Anita. She's got her groom back, she's got her regular people back, and fillies can be a little finicky, and they respond well to the people that they love and that love them. And I just have a feeling like she's going to go back and run her race. Beto's getting on her over there in Pimlico, which she'll love. And I think she's the horse to beat. I know she's going to be the favorite, but she's also the fastest horse in the race. And any of her first 2 races get the job done, I think, on Friday. And I would expect her to even maybe take a step forward from there.
All right. So Chad, you're not concerned at all about Baffert, Yaktine, McCarthy. That doesn't concern you at all.
No, he's looking at it as a plus.
Okay.
Now he's giving you a reason why she's going to move forward. He's looking at it as a plus. And he's probably right, by the way.
All right, the 11 is Radio Days, a 12-1 shot. You got Rosario on board, so you always have to respect that. Unfortunately, the horse ran a couple of 13s in the first 3 races. Since then, 21-16, John.
Too slow. Her route race is not her only one and only route race around a mile was no good, and now she's being asked to go a mile and 1/8. I don't like her.
Chad?
I love the fact that Rosario took over for Dylan Davis. Dylan Davis did not fit this horse one little bit. He looked terrible on her when he rode her in Florida. He looked terrible on her when he rode her in New York. They switched to Rosario. Look, she ran second. It was a suck-up second. Monterey was much the best. But you know what? The winner of that last race came back and won the 8 bells on the Kentucky Derby undercard. She's a really, really fast filly for Brad Cox. So there was no shame in running second. Mataraya would probably actually be the favorite in the Black-Eyed Susan if they were to run it here. So I think she's better than it looks, but I also think that she needs a break. She's a filly that just she ran well. They tried her through the wintertime, and she looks like she just needs some time to recover. I don't like her in this spot.
All right. Next up is Favor, an 8-1 shot. Pletcher and Gaffleone. That's a good combo. The sheets look pretty good, John. 21, 14, and 12 the first 3 races. Then she ran a 12 in her last race in that Oaks race at Fairgrounds, which is not bad. I mean, you wanted a more of a forward move, but it's not totally bad. Plus, you're getting 8-1.
Yeah, I mean, the horse has a shot. I don't like post 12, but the horse has enough speed. They got a long run down the front, in front of the grandstand until they hit that first turn. The horse is okay. Just another horse. Probably going to be overbet because of the connections.
Chad?
I'm not a fan of this, really. I didn't think that she was anywhere near the first string of Pletcher's barn. We saw, what Nest was able to do. Nest is a much better filly than Favor. I don't think that she's as competitive as others in this race. I think this is just the barn's taking a lot of horses down there, so just add her into the mix. But I don't think she's that good. There's a reason why Todd Pletcher's, I believe, never won a Preakness, and he might have won a Black-Eyed Susan or two, but not with this filly. I don't like her at all.
And if you don't like the 12, I can't imagine you'll like the 13, Morning Matcha. This horse is pretty damn slow, John.
Yeah, it kind of looks like 10 Strike a little bit, but we know what 10 Strike did, but I don't think Morning Matcha is going to do it.
Yeah, this is a horse you look, 9 out of 10 lifetime, but yeah, the best sheet number is 15.
The thing with Morning Maka is if they go fast enough early, and we know for sure that Adara Marner is going. I don't know who's brave enough to go with her early. Maybe Luna Bella will be up close, but if they go fast enough, she will close. She has a big, long stride. She has a proficiency for hitting the board and being competitive in her races, even though she didn't run very well in the Gazelle last time. I think she'll be coming late. If you're playing, superfectas or
who trained 10 Strike, Chad?
Rich Strike is Eric Reed.
And who's training Morning Matcha? Robert Reed. Any connection?
No connection at all.
And they both from the extreme outside post. That's about the only.
I'm going to put $2 on 13 now.
Well, there you go.
Put $2 to show. Don't go crazy.
All right, so let's recap. I like Luna Bella, the 6. In exactas, I would use the 3, Miss Yearwood, the 9, Interstate Dream, and the 10, Adair Manor. 6 with 3, 9, and 10, and obviously reverse them as well.
Chad?
I'm going to go with Adair Manor, and then underneath I'll use Interstate Daydream and Divine Huntress from the rail.
No Luna Bellas for you.
No Luna Bella for me.
Adair Manor was the 10, and what were the other numbers?
Interstate Daydream and the 1 Divine Huntress.
The 9 and the 1 he's
9
using.
and the 1. So 10 with the 9 and the 1. And I'm going to go the 6 with the 4, 9, and 12. Okay. Let's move on over to the big one this weekend. Also a race 13. Of course, this is on Saturday, mile and 3/16, the Preakness.
By the way, in race 14, the Arabian race, there's a horse coming in off a 4-year layoff, something you don't see very often.
4-year layoff?
Yeah, he hasn't run since 2008.
How do you even look at that race? That's amazing.
The horse came from Dubai, so I had to look at it.
Oh, okay.
What are the odds on on that horse?
Does it matter?
less than Rich Trey.
All right. So this should.
What's her name? What's his name, Chad?
Sniper de Maloon or something like that.
Oh, he has 1 lifetime start.
No. American.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
yeah. In the year 2017.
The other big race, the Preakness.
Let's get it going, starting with simplification. And Velazquez on board for the first time. If you take a look at the sheets, the horse is going in the opposite direction. Not by a wide margin, but still incrementally the wrong direction. 8, 10, 11, 12 in the last 4 races. fourth in the Kentucky Derby, winner of the Fountain Youth, 6-1 simplification. What do you think, John?
There's no reason in the world for this horse to be running in this race. As a matter of fact, there's no reason for Epicenter to be running in this race. If you didn't win the Derby, what's the point to come back on 2 weeks? That's why I don't like any of the horses out of the Derby, and I don't like the filly either because she's back on 2 weeks. Simplification, like Epicenter, you're going to see, has always taken time between races. Now, Epicenter's coming back on 2 weeks, Simplification coming back on 2 weeks, and Secret Oath is coming back on 2 weeks. I want no part of those horses. I don't like this horse.
Chad, after you give us your analysis on Simplification, what do you think about what John said? Is this just a money play? They're not going to race in the Belmont, so if they're going to race in a big one, they might as well race in this one.
Look, I think there's a prestige thing that comes with this. There's a thing of you only have one chance, and it can't be stressed enough. And Jonathan was there for the hoopla of the Derby, and obviously it didn't end perhaps the way that we wanted it to. But there's something to be said about running in these races, and you only get one chance. And they're called the 3 jewels of the Triple Crown, and winning a Preakness is a big deal. We're going to talk about early voting in a second and compare him to Cloud Computing. Well, Cloud Computing has 2 wins in his life and became a stallion only because he won the Preakness. He never hit the board again in any other race.
Who won the Preakness last year?
It's a stallion making race, and it's something that's important to connections if they're trying to make a stallion. I have no problem with these horses trying to do this. Simplification, trying to get a stallion deal done. And the thing to the point of the 2 weeks is Antonio Sano loves running horses in 2 weeks. Jonathan, you look at the Florida Brooks all the time.
I know that.
Nobody runs horses more frequently on a 2-week basis than Antonio Sano. The difference is, I agree with Jonathan that I don't like this horse in this race. I think that he's going, and I thought he was going to run really good in the Derby, and I thought he ran really good in the Derby. But I don't like him in this race, even though Antonio Sano has plenty of experience running horses back in 2 weeks. He's a horse that's a fragile horse that needs time between his races, and I don't like this move of running this horse back in 2 weeks. But my top pick will be a horse coming back in 2 weeks.
All right. Next up, Creative Minister, 10-1 shot. And this horse has run all 3 times this year, 17, 16, 13, heading in the right direction, John. Needs another career best. 10-1 is the major good thing about Creative Minister. So what do you think about a horse that at least has the sheets going in the right direction with 10-1 odds?
Well, he didn't run in the Derby, but he ran on Derby day. So there's no difference. I don't like this horse off of a 2-week layoff. If you look at his first 3 races, he's had time between the 17 and the 16, then time between the 16 and 13, and now he's coming back without any time. I don't want this horse. No, thank you.
Chad?
The way the horse ran and won on the Derby undercard, I told everybody as soon as he crossed the wire, he was going to the Preakness. Little did I know that he wasn't Triple Crown nominated. The owners had to pay $150,000 in addition.
Can you imagine that? That's ridiculous.
Now, look, the ownership is led by a guy who used to be the CEO of Reebok. So he's not crying over over spilled milk. He has plenty of money, and they want to take a chance at a jewel of the Triple Crown. I'd imagine, for that money, we might as well see him in the Belmont Stakes as well. But this horse screams bounce to me. To run back like that. Now, he won easy. Don't get me wrong. He was an easy winner in what we thought was a very, very competitive allowance race on that card. But man, that's a big ask of a young horse to do that in a short period of time. The best thing for him is the fact that it's a small field. It's only a 9-horse field, and he won't have to have as much traffic trouble. He should sit the perfect trip, laying probably 4th early on in the race. I just think it's too much too soon for this horse, and I expect this horse to bounce. But we could see things from him later on in the year.
Hey, there's my technical support guy, John.
He is reliable.
Calling me back. A little late. Yeah, as our viewers can see, we've got a completely different system for this show. Okay, next up is Fenwick. Now what in the world is this horse doing in this race?
I don't know. We don't ask those questions anymore, right? Isn't that the new rule after last week? So
All right. Well, then why is the horse in the race?
I have no idea, but I have no interest in him.
Chad, the only thing that's good is the horse ran a 13 2 starts ago when he broke his maiden, but then bounced to a 30 in the bluegrass.
Fenwick is the X factor in the race as much as summer is tomorrow. The reason why one of these horses is going to win this race and one of these horses is going to lose this race is because of Fenwick. And by that, what I'm and Jonathan's right. The horse shouldn't be in this race. He's in this race because he was purchased. Precedent was purchased by the owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he wants to have some action on Preakness Day. That's why this horse is in the race. Okay, he could have run on the Sir Barton on the Preakness undercard. He's never run the horse before, and now they're running in this race to have action, to have a Preakness starter, and they're going to go over and they're going to have a good time. But he is solely in this race for the free lunch. However, the reason why he's the X factor in the race is he's the speed in the race. Last time with Paco Lopez, he broke a step slow, got out, hustled to the lead, and the race was over. When he wanted Tampa 2 back, he went to the lead. The reason why Florent Giroux is riding this horse, other than Sonny Leon is unavailable, is the fact that they want to send this horse to the lead. They think Florent Giroux is good at getting horses out of the gate and being aggressive. I expect this horse to lead at the first quarter mile, the first half mile, to be in front of early voting. And that's the difference in this race, because if early voting was in the race without Fenwick, he would be loose on the lead. And if Epicenter kind of fell asleep, like, Rosario likes to let them get comfortable and things like that, it would be a completely different complexion of the race. With Fenwick in the race, early voting has to sit and send on his outside. They go fast early on, and Epicenter sits the dream trip. The Fenwick entering in this race at the last minute, at the 11th hour, completely changes the dynamic of the race. And even though he has no shot, he's a horse that you have to talk about because he is going to be the pace presence in the race.
Yeah, for 3 furlongs. Who is Kevin McCathan? Are you familiar with this trainer?
Ocala. The horse actually has been training at Churchill Downs with Brian Lynch. Brian's had the horse since the bluegrass, and Brian actually has said that the horse is training well. He was hoping to run him in an allowance race and not the Preakness. So the horse will eventually, I think, will win the allowance race with Brian Lynch. But that being said, I don't think he can win this race. I don't think he can hit the board in this race, but I do think he is a pace presence in this race.
All right. Next up is the filly, Secret Oath, 9-2 shot after the win in the Kentucky Oaks. And what you notice about Secret Oath is that 3 times in her career, following a new top sheet line, the very next race, no good. Well, 1 out of the 3 she won, but it was 13-13. First time, 19-19, finished 5th in a grade 2. And then the last time was at the Arkansas Derby when she had a best 11th, then bounced to a 13 in the Derby and finished 3rd. So now she's coming off another career best 9. So that tells me we're going to see her go kind of sideways or backwards once again.
Not only that, but she's always had time between races. This is the first time she's coming back without any rest. She has to react. Not only that, she's not any value at all at 9-2, 4-1. That's ridiculous. This is the first horse I'm throwing out. This horse has 0 chance. 0.
Chad?
Cool filly. So happy for the connections that she was able to win the Kentucky Oaks despite the slow final 3 furlongs in the Arkansas Derby. Somehow she was able to win the Kentucky Oaks. But the thing is, people try so hard when a filly does something unusual to right away put them on the pantheon of greats. And for this filly, she ran 3rd in the Arkansas Derby. Now she's running the Preakness. They said, this is Rachel Alexandra. Well, Rachel Alexandra won the Oaks by 20 lengths. Okay? Rachel Alexandra was a machine. Rachel Alexandra was not a horse. She was a machine. Secret Oath is a nice filly. But
she's no Rachel Alexander. She's not even close to Rachel Alexander.
No, she's not. She's not made like her physically. And while she did beat a really nice group of fillies in the Oaks and did it the right way, And Luis Saez rode her perfectly. I do not like her in this day because she's running against decent horses. Epicenter and Early Voting are better horses than her. And she needs, for her to win, she needs Fenwick to go the opening half mile in 45 and Early Voting to press for all he's worth. And that would be her only shot. And I don't think they're going to go 45 to the half. So
And there's no way Early Voting's getting involved with a 90-1 shot. Early Voting's going to be too smart and take off. That horse wants to go, they'll let him go. I mean, that's just my opinion.
All right.
Yeah, but you saw what happened in the Derby.
Yes.
Even though Summer is Tomorrow and Crown Pride both went, the horses that were near it early were not able to sustain that late. And sometimes, even though you're 3 or 4 lengths behind, you're still going a second faster than you wanted to go, laying third or fourth early on. So I understand what you're saying, Jonathan, but it is still a thing. It's not like they're going to let Fenwick go and he's going to be in front by 15 lengths early on. Early Voting will be a length or two behind in an ideal position, but it's not going to be something where they're going to let Florent Geroux open up by 10 and say, oh, he's just going to come back to us.
All right, Early Voting is next. And Early Voting coming off a 7 in the Wood. So the only good thing about that is that he's got a few extra weeks, did not race in the Kentucky Derby, but still, are we expecting, what kind of a bounce are we expecting, John?
I think he's repeating the 7. The 16-2 starts back, he could draw a line through even though he won that race. That was a sloppy racetrack. He ran a 14 first out. This horse has never been on Lasix, so coming off of Lasix is not a concern of his. Not only that, he's the fresh horse coming into this race. Mo Donegal ran well in the Derby. I think he finished 4th or 5th, wherever it was. So that kind of confirms this race a little bit. Mo Donegal beat him by a neck last time out with the most perfect trip of all times. This horse is repeating the 7 or better. And to me, this horse is the winner of the race. And I don't see anyone beating him. This is a horse I like here.
Chadwick?
He's the only other possible winner of the race besides Epicenter. Look, they compare him to Cloud Computing. There's no comparison. He's a better horse than Cloud Computing. He was a little bit of a late bloomer. Just like Zandon, I ran second to Zandon. I ran second to Early Voting in his first race. And if I would have switched leads, then Early Voting would have still been a maiden, and it'd be a little bit of a different situation. But look, Early Voting was a good, not great horse early on in his career. There's a reason he stayed in New York in the wintertime when Chad Brown took all of his other horses, for the most part, down to Florida, all the stake horses down to Florida. Early Voting was still kind of a little bit green. And when he won the Gotham in his second career start, or the Jerome, whichever race it was, I think it was the Gotham, he did it in the most easiest fashion because he just broke the gate. He broke the gate and he was in front by 5 and the race was over. And Uno Ho ran second and came back, and Uno Ho shocked the world when he won the Rebel. The time off was good because he matured a little bit. And I thought he ran a very good race in the Wood. His last 2 works, including the one where they were thinking about maybe possibly going to the Kentucky Derby, his last 2 works have been phenomenal. His work the other day, last Friday, against Miles D. Miles D was a horse, I think, that was 3rd in the Travers. Last year is a solid horse of Chad Brown. In fact, Chad Brown was planning on running him in the Pimlico Special until this horse came around and just whooped him. And Flavian Pratt was on Miles D, and Jose Ortiz was on Early Voting. And Early Voting, I mean, just pulled away from him in the stretch. I think there's some stuff on it on Twitter, on the Naira page. There might even be a work of it on XBTV. His workout has, I mean, just the tab has gotten better and better and better every time. And he's a horse really on the improve for a stallion and gun runner who we've talked so much about already, and his dominance of his first crop. This is another one that looks to add a grade 1 to his name. And look, he should be the second choice when all said and done, not the filly. And he is the second most likeliest winner. I mean, certainly nothing wrong with Early Voting.
The reason I circled him, John, is because I figured, well, the horse ran a 7, and even if he bounces, which I thought think he's going to, I didn't think that was going to matter too much. But you think that this horse can actually move ahead and move forward?
He's got plenty of time from that 7. He doesn't have to. That 7 was run back on April 9th. Okay, so you're talking about, I don't know, 6-7 weeks for sure. That's plenty of time for him to repeat or make a forward move. And Chad, the race he won 2 starts back was the Withers. at Aqueduct.
So even though it's a new top by 7, you're not concerned that even maybe we'll see a little bit of a bounce.
He's lightly raced. He's Chad Brown.
Okay.
I mean, it's all right for me. Not only that, I'm negative on 90% of the rest of the field.
No, that's why I said I think the horse can bounce a little bit, still win. But hey, if you think the horse is going forward, that's even better. All right, Happy Jack, a 30-1 shot, has O'Neill and Gaffalione. I guess that's the only good thing. 14th in the Derby. The best race for Happy Jack was the first race when he ran an 11, but hasn't come close to repeating that with 15s. And that's about it.
Yeah, I don't like him at all. You know, I'm surprised they're running him, but you know, like Chad says, I guess the prestige of running in the Triple Crown races. But you know, you have to draw a line in your mind, or certainly realize that running back on 2 weeks could do more damage in the long run, and you may not have a horse for 6 months if you run in this race. So you know, why didn't other horses come back from the Derby? You only seen 2 or 3 of the horses come back, you know, and one of them is Epicenter, who ran second. So for him, I could see the case. But when you got beat 20 lengths in the Derby, I don't see the point in running here.
Besides that first race, Chad, any excuse of why you think Happy Jack's running on Saturday besides the prestige?
We talked about in the Black Eyed Susan, distinctly possible, and the ownership kind of wanting to run in the Preakness. Brad Kelly, who is the owner and one of the most reclusive people in all of America, is the owner of Calumet Farm now. It's not the original owners that had all that success. He's done this time in and time out in wanting to participate in these big races, and sometimes he's been rewarded. I mean, I think Kendrick Carmouche was aboard a couple of huge upsets at Cigar Mile with True Timber, the Wood Memorial last year. We've seen this move before, and sometimes it works. And for guys that get lucky, like Brad Kelly, like Doug O'Neill, it's happened before. So as Doug O'Neill likes to say, why not us? That's why this horse is in the race. But it's an uphill climb for this horse.
All right, the 7. How do you pronounce this horse's name?
Armagnac? I don't know. This horse, this is Yactine.
Armagnac? Yeah, another Yactine horse. Irad Ortiz.
But this one stayed with Yactine.
Yeah, and which
transferred to McCarthy. I don't like this horse. Coming back too close. Looks like a bounce candidate to me.
Well, the good thing about the sheets is that if you just draw a line through the San Felipe, he has improved each time out. 13 last time, but that was on the undercard, right? One of the undercard winners.
Yes.
12-1 though with Irad Ortiz. I mean, I could put this horse in the exotics. What about the 7, Chad?
No, this horse has shown so far that he just doesn't have the ability to run against California's best, let alone some of the others. He doesn't sit the ideal trip. He gets squeezed with Epicenter coming over on him. He's going to end up further behind. Even though Irad is an aggressive jockey, I just don't see him working out a good trip. I see him getting hung out wide in the first turn, and I just don't think he's that good.
Well, he wants to lead though.
He can't make the lead. He won't sniff the lead. He won't be in the top. He won't be in the top 2 early. At best, he's 3rd early on in the race. At best.
Epicenter 6-5. Bounced to an 11 in the Kentucky Derby from a 6. So that wasn't good. 6 to an 11. What about Epicenter, John?
Well, Epicenter is probably the best horse in the race. The only problem is he's not going to be the best horse on Saturday. You know, while he certainly has the credentials and everything else, but he's coming off of a bad race for him, and he's doing something that he's never done in his life. He's coming back on a short layoff. As a 3-year-old, he had 3 races, and he always had at least 2 months between races. This year, he came out. Every race was spaced 6 weeks out, a month out. But now he's being asked to come back on 2 weeks, and he's going to be 3-5. Yeah. I don't want him at 3-5. He could run second. I don't think he's winning. I think early voting is the fresh horse in the race. And to me, that's the right horse.
Yeah, that's the major issue, Chad, of the odds. the odds. I mean, Epicenter had a perfect sheet line heading into the Kentucky Derby, and then it all went away, even though Epicenter almost won the race and maybe 9 times out of 10 is going to win because Rich Strike is not going to come in. But we're seeing Epicenter as the heavy favorite in this race. So this is your choice, Chad?
Yeah, look, the sheets are a tool, and they're a great tool at identifying, horses and things like that. This horse has been preparing to run in the Preakness his entire 3-year-old campaign since he won the Gun Runner back in December, and they said, okay, this is where we're going. This is our Derby horse. This was Steve Asmussen's Derby horse, despite the fact that he was never the favorite for like the first 6 starts of his life. Look, he's a cool horse. What he showed in Louisiana in the Louisiana Derby, able to sit back and make that run and run by a game Zozos like he was standing still. He showed again in the Derby. Joel Rosario gave this horse the perfect ride. He sensed how fast they were going early on. He took him back. He was laying 8th. He made the first move. He passed Messier and looked like a winner every step of the race until Rich Strike came from out of nowhere and snuck up the rail and won the race. He was holding off Zandon. Zandon, a nice horse, was never going to go by him. And he showed another dimension that he's push button. He can sit wherever you want. Saw pictures and video of him getting off the van yesterday from Churchill to Pimlico. He looks an absolute picture. And Scott Blassie did an interview today saying, look, when we had Curlin on the wash rack after the Derby when he ran 3rd, we said there's no way he's going to lose the Preakness. And he said as soon as we were giving this horse a bath after the Derby this year, he said there's no way we're going to lose the Preakness. Steve Asmussen's won more races than anybody else in the history of racing. And I will stick with Steve in this one. I will stick with Scott Blassie. And I will say that Epicenter, at whatever odds, is by far and away the horse to beat. He's the class of the field. And look, they're trying to get this horse 3-year-old championship. Right now, even though Rich Strike won the Derby, I don't know how many people are voting for him as 3-year-old horse of the year. And so for that reason, Epicenter would be the leader in the clubhouse, and a Preakness win would solidify those chances at making him 3-year-old champion. So this race is very much Epicenter has more on the line in this race than anybody else. And for that reason, they know that they take it seriously. Steve Asmussen knows how to get a horse ready from the Derby to the Preakness. He's done this before. He's done it with the Plum. And look, Joel Rosario gets along so well with this horse. I think it's going to take a really, really magical performance from anybody to beat this horse. He's the real deal. He backed it up in the Derby. He showed up when some of the other ones didn't show up. I know the sheet number reflects that he went backwards, but I would wholly anticipate with a different dynamic of this race setup that he moves forward and takes that giant leap back to a 5 or a 6 like he should have been running in the Derby. So I think he's by far and away the horse to beat. And the old timers used to say, Jonathan, a short price is better than
a long face. Okay.
All right.
And a nice $9 horse is better than a longer face, betting a short price 3 to 5 set.
The 9 is Skippy Longstocking, a 20-1 shot with Safi Joseph. That if you're taking a horse like Epicenter, you want to see this horse in the exotics. Because if you take a look at the sheets this season, John, the horse has pretty much been perfect. 21, 14, 12, and 7. Ran a 7 in the Wood, has time off. So, I'd like to see this horse with my favorite in the exacta.
I'm using this horse with my horse in the exacta. I'm putting early voting over Epicenter and Skippy Longstocking. 5 over 8, 9. That's the way I see it. That's the way they're running.
5 over 8 and 9?
Yeah. Early voting over Epicenter and Skippy Longstocking.
What do you think about Skippy Longstocking, Chad?
Junior Alvarado's Breeze Simplification, his last 3 works before going to the Derby, had the chance to pick up the mount on Simplification, who's 6-1 here, elected not to ride Simplification and stick with Pippi Longstocking. And so there's a lot to say about that. The Junior has the belief in this horse. He's breezed the horse. He rode him. Actually, he came up to New York and rode him in the Wood. And so they got a good post position, and they're going to be trying to sit the right trip and make the right move. But despite his sheet line getting better and better, I just don't think that he's anywhere close to the same field. I don't know how he got a 7. I got to go back and rewatch the Wood because it didn't look like to me that he should have gotten the same number as early voting in that race, because early voting was
Crazy. 4 horses out of that race got a 7, Chad. Mo Donegal, early voting. I don't know. I got to ask Jake
how
about
far
it.
did Longstocking get beat by early voting?
Well, he only got beat 3 3/4 lengths for the whole race, but he was
Right, not
wide.
only, so he got beat by 3 3/4 lengths. I don't know how he got the same 7 unless he was hung out in the parking lot.
He was wide. He was wide on both turns.
Look, he was 3 3/4 lengths behind early voting last time. I don't think he's done anything to make him 3 3/4 lengths faster than early voting this time. And
No, it's not. Well, that's why I'm using him underneath. But, he's 20 to 1.
It would have been fine if he would have had a 10. That still would have been a forward move, which I would have been happy with.
Look, I think there's something to be said about class. Maybe not. Ask Rich Strike. But at the end of the day, to me, it's a 2-horse race. It's really a 1-horse race. I think this is Epicenter. This is Epicenter's race. The coronation of what should have been, and everybody will go into the Belmont saying there really should have been a Triple Crown on the line. But
stop that! If there should have been, then he should have won. That's nonsense. It's like all these people now, they want to change the rules for the Triple Crown, make the races 6 weeks apart. Nonsense. The Triple Crown is the Triple Crown for a reason.
But Jonathan, the good news is the Kentucky Derby winner came out of Turfway. You saw the Triple Crown winner. You were there.
I know.
You saw the Derby winner. You could have identified him there when you were in the tent.
Freezing. I was freezing. It was so cold.
What do you want in your exacta there, Chad? You're just gonna go chalk here?
It's a cold $5 number. It's Epicenter over early voting. You can do whatever you want in third. I'm not interested. It's a 2-horse race.
And I'm gonna put the 3 long shots, 2, 7, and 9 under Epicenter and see if I can make a little bit of money.
You're not using early voting either.
No, it was either or.
I can't wait. I can't wait for Monday's show when I won't be there.
All right. And what odds? What do you think the odds are going to turn out to be on those 2 horses?
Epicenter will be 4 to 5. Early voting will be 9 to 2, maybe.
Chad?
I think Secret Oath is going to take money.
Hopefully they go for the Philly.
Secret Oath is going to take money. Early voting will take money. I think that that Epicenter stays somewhere in that 6 to 5 range. I don't think he goes under, but even if he does, it doesn't matter. He's the best horse in the race.
All right, guys, appreciate it. Thanks for your patience with all the technical difficulties. I got to go call my tech guy back so I can fix them. And John, I'll be talking to you. Now, this is a show that's free to everybody. Obviously, everyone knows that because they're watching it. But our Patreon show, the one that's going to be behind the paywall, is going to be airing. We're going to record that tomorrow. So John and I will have 2 more races to handicap. More than likely the 2 races on the Preakness card. Correct, John?
Yeah, races 11 and 12, it looks like. Chad, you're welcome to join us if you got nothing to do for 7 hours.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Chad. Thanks, Greg. Be well, everybody. Stay safe.